I'm Debra Pascali-Bonaro, host and director of Orgasmic Birth, and I am so honored and excited today that I'm here with an amazing midwife, Naoli Vinaver. We've been just teaching at the Pray Doula Advanced Retreat and having some really pleasurable time together.
Yes.
So it's really wonderful to have you join us on our podcast today, because even on our advanced retreat, we were talking a lot about pleasure, intimacy, and how we can have more joyful, orgasmic births. So can you tell us a
Yes,
little bit more about your work and what you're doing?
of course. Well, first of all, it is a great pleasure to be with you
Mwah.
and to participate in this movement of reacquainting culture, reacquainting ourselves with the element of pleasure in birth, because there's so much fame to pain, right? Related to birth. People are frightened, they're freaked out when they get pregnant. The one element they fear is pain. And really nobody is talking, besides of course you and I and a few other people for decades already, exploring and discovering the thick layer of pleasure that is encompassed in the birth process. And as a midwife, yes, I've been a midwife for just about 40 years. And it's been a discovery process, because you become a midwife, there's so many things to learn as a midwife. Learning about, yes, the birth process, the dilation process, the pelvis, the cervix, the rhythm of labor, the soul of the mother, how it impacts the physiological process, how a woman's state of mind and psychological situation and history will also have an impact in her birth experience. As a young midwife, the rebozo techniques and what happens when the baby's asynclitic, all of the clinical and also, physiological aspects of birth. As a midwife, you are focused on, as the years go by, in learning, but also observing. And as a woman, birthing myself, of course, it came to enrich my practice in a great way, because yes, one thing is to look at it from the outside, always trying to feel what the mother is feeling, trying to understand her deeply, put ourselves in her shoes, etc. But when you actually go into your own birthing experience, you go, oh, wow, that layer showed up, or that layer came to the surface. Or if I focused on this specific, maybe apparently thin layer of pleasure, you focus on it and it just expands, it grows. So as a midwife and as a woman, once I started getting an inkling on, wait a second, pain is such a little tiny word, such a little concept to all the things that we feel in labor, all the sensations that are so rich and so deeply interwoven. And not only the sensations, even our thoughts. I remember birthing, I was having thoughts that were interweaving with my sensations. I was giving birth to my third child, Amaya. Yes, I was masturbating because I thought, okay, this will be my third child. I really want to feel what it's like to combine the erotic sensation on the clitoris with the sensation of the contraction. So that was one of my goals. Okay, in this birth, I'm just going to masturbate in labor. At first, I thought I'll have my husband do it, but then he wasn't doing it right. He didn't know what I needed.
Right.
I was an animal giving birth, and it wasn't any old way. It had to be just right, in the right rhythm, in the right way. And I discovered that it was fantastic, that, it's like the perfect combination as myself, yeah? And previous to that moment, which was already the last part of the birth, when I am in the tub with the intense phase of labor, already quite close to pushing. But previous to that, I was also having this waves of what I call really orgasmic energy, because when I looked into my husband's eyes, all I could feel was love bursting, just like a sun the rays of the sun just bursting with love. If I didn't look at him in the eyes, it felt like pain. It was like the exact intensity, but in pain. And looking at him with love and him, I mean, it didn't even have to be a special way of looking, just turned into love. So that was orgasmic in nature. Yes?
So beautiful.
It was amazing. And as I was living it, of course, my mind wasn't really comprehending. I had thoughts, oh, rays of sun, oh, bursting out love. I had like the sense of it. It was only after that I was able to put it into words. But even before as a midwife, because my last child is 25 years old, Tamaya, even before, it became quite obvious that the women who were birthing in a focused way, as far as focusing not on the ow, 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 the pain, but on the oh, 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 like diving into the other layers.
Yes.
We're having amazingly delightful, just, expansive birthing experiences. So I started catching on quite early that where we placed our attention, our energy goes there. And we know that in sex.
Yes.
When we're having sex, if we are with our minds focused on something else, no matter what the technique or the greatest lover in the world, or even our best of intentions, it's not going to be the best of, sexual interactions or experiences. If we bring our mind to get in sync with the waves of sensation that we're building, then it becomes what I would call a transcendental sexual experience, in the same way as the birth can be a transcendental sexual experience, or elated experience, which combines in a big way, yes, sexuality. And we have to come out of the understanding of sexuality as genital only. Yes, many times the portal would be the clitoris or the vulva or just our pelvis or our breasts. They're portals of pleasure, but also our mind. So if we get into this frame of mind of enjoying and opening up, of course, the experience is going to be an expanded, surprising experience. We cannot control it, just like in sex. Right. We can never say, I'm going to have 3 orgasms today
Yes.
in 10 minutes.
Correct.
No.
No.
But I started at one point noticing women who were blocked, and that the resolution did lie in maybe masturbating or touching themselves, or even women who had no partner and who hadn't been touched in 9 months. Even myself, with a lot of respect and love, just touching them, not necessarily genitally, right. Just touching them in ways that, and if you understand about tantric sex is all about waking up all the cells of the body, which then, of course, just make flourish, the sexuality, the eroticism. So as a midwife, innumerable times I've caressed a woman with a lot of love, or just placed my hand on her chest and breathed together like a beautiful lover would. And there is no conflict of ethics here, because the intention of the midwife who does that, or doula, is so clean. It is to help facilitate the labor. You're not doing it for your own pleasure. It is to facilitate energetically the unveiling and the opening up of a person who is blocked or stagnated energetically. And yes, usually it will, as it begins to open, it will end up opening, the sexual chakras, or the sexual channels. Of course, because for a child to be born, the child is born through the vaginal canal, the yoni, the vulva. It, of course, a natural vaginal birth will culminate through the sexual organs of a mother. But it is just amazing to see how we can, having that awareness and that sensibility, facilitate a beautiful birthing, a beautiful woman's unveiling or unfolding through sexuality, through the sexual elements of one's being. And if you are a very clean person as far as your intentions and your yes, your intention, but also you have to be able to place yourself like at the service of what is needed. And there's so many taboos in culture. Sexuality
Yes.
is bad. Oh, you don't want to touch anybody. They might think it's, you're doing it with the wrong intention. And I understand, yes, we have to be very clear and very conscientious about them. But if we keep ourselves being very prudish, very closed-minded, or just kind of prey to the religious beliefs that sexuality is bad or negative or dirty, well, we're going to see a lot of women blocked. Even themselves, they may consider that anything below their belly button is a little dirty and not a good place. How can a woman allow for her child, beloved child, to be born through a place that she considers dirty?
Right.
So we've got a lot of work to do. And yes, I wanted to share with you that the first time it occurred to me to actually lend a birthing mother my vibrator, my first,
Oh,
she was, oh, she was in a state of despair. She had gotten pregnant with somebody that she told her mother and I, don't even ask who that is, I'll never tell you. So he was like blocked out of her life, apparently a bad relationship.
yeah.
But then in labor, she was a lawyer, fantastic, powerful woman with great, power of decision. There was no wavering. I want to birth. No, 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 I'm going to birth. But she spent, I would have to say that at least 8 hours screaming with her fists
Wow.
closed, her eyes and clenched up and on her tiptoes, and her booty completely clenched up, and just she would scream like she was being murdered, walking around the room completely clenched up. And of course I was trying to say, well, see if you can let go a little bit, put your feet firmly on the ground. Is it possible to? And she is very intelligent, very sharp. At some point she said, now Lee, what you're asking me to do is to connect my mind with my heart and my heart with my body. I said,
Yes.
yes. And she said, I can't do it. I just have to tell you, I will be incapable of doing that. And between contraction and screaming and all this, she explained to me that, without details, that her, not this father, but the previous relationship was the love of her life, but became, I imagine, abusive. She just said very bad. And she said, and I severed the connection between my mind and my heart and my heart and my body. And never again have I been able to reconnect. So I am so sorry now, Lee. What you're asking me to do, it's impossible. And of course, as a midwife, I don't give up easy. It's like, okay, she's understood what is needed. And that is not exactly an easy path for her. What, as a midwife, can I do to help? And what came to mind is, I'm going to go get my vibrator. I'm going to give her, of course, completely clean with a
Clean.
condom. And I came back and I said, well, this is a tool that we use for these types of cases. I didn't want her to feel that she alone was, broken or incapable. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. This is something that happens, and there is a solution for it. And please masturbate and try to have an orgasm. And I will just be outside and we'll take it from there. And she looked at me with these big eyes, like what? And she saw me so calm and determined, like, yeah, this is a perfect tool and a good avenue to take at this point. She took the vibrator, and I walked outside and I waited outside, at least 15, 20 minutes. I was listening a little bit to the voice, if anything changed. At some point, something changed. The tone of her voice wasn't so screechy. It went a little deeper. Something changed. So I decided I'm going to very respectfully come in and see how things are going. And At the appropriate time, she told me, yes, she did get an orgasm. She managed to masturbate. And she still kept putting her booty into a lock and on her tiptoes. So I said, okay, now we need to go to the toilet, sit down on the toilet seat so you can relax your booty and allow for the baby to drop down because, you know, with that type of clenching, it was very difficult to imagine the baby coming down. And she was so beautiful because she really wanted to birth, but she did not wait. She felt all the roads are closed for me. We went to the bathroom, and for her to manage to sit down, you know, puff, let the weight of her bottom onto the seat, it was almost impossible. It was like asking somebody to put a knife into their heart. You know, it's like, ah! But I kept insisting that is necessary. You can do it. And she finally managed. Another half hour later, she just managed to bear that pressure. And I do imagine there must have been sexual abuse and things that had a lot of memory locked into the pelvic area because she was trying to escape from it. And then she asked for her mother, who luckily had slept all night through without being disturbed. And I told her mother, look, she's feeling that she can't do it, but I believe she can. Let's put, you know, our energy into yes, yes. And she explained to her mother, between contractions, mother, I'm so sorry that you trusted so much in me because you came to the prenatal visits with me every time, and I know you trusted me, but I cannot do this, and I'm so sorry, but I can't. And the mother, she caught on to what I was, you know, my intention. She was like, yes, daughter, but you can do it. Yes, I hear you, but you can. We were, both of us, just like, yeah, we understand, but, and as long as she remained sitting, things started moving. She started, you know, you could tell labor was really getting into the hot, fiery, you know, lusty part of labor, which is, you know, the active, intense labor. Before it was more fright and fear. She got to feeling the pushing urges, and she was still screaming bloody murder. It was in my household because she was giving birth in our home. At that time, a lot of babies were born in our house. And my kids remember there was screams of that woman. It's a historical
Oh,
birth. It was quite scary to people. You know,
yeah. What's happening,
and
right?
at some point when she started to push, I thought, okay, I think we can turn up a notch and ask her to turn her bloody screams into a song, into just a song. You know, something that wasn't scaring her because I could tell her own screams were letting her or making her be frightened. It was scary to anyone and herself. And when I said, okay, you're doing beautifully now, all you need to do is when your voice comes out, instead of it being a screech, make it be like a song, like a beautiful sound. And she again looked at me like, okay. She was so full of faith, you know, and so devoted to doing it. It didn't take 2 or 3 contractions. She managed. The beauty of her voice. She would start, yeah, like an opera. And as soon as she started doing that and hearing herself, you could see her face just like, she fell in love with her voice, with the energy of that birth. And ever since then, until the baby was born, probably an hour later, because she pushed for about an hour, it was elated. She would almost prepare, okay, contractions coming, she would do this. And then she would go, whoa! And, you know, I remember so well, she was quite dark skinned, white teeth, pink tongue, you know, these beautiful black eyes with a lot of white. And she would just sing her heart out. Her tongue would be vibrating. It was so beautiful. And it all really started by opening up the sexual channel. Like she went into this orgasm and then she connected something. She connected that which had been disconnected from, yes, abuse, suffering, trauma. And that sexuality is ours. It isn't something we are bringing from the outside. It is not dependent on us having a partner or even, a loving, magnificent sexual experience in our lives. We can connect to that channel of sexuality, which is pure life force, at any moment. And especially during birth, it is essential that it's unplugged. And after that, you can imagine.
Are you curious about enhancing pleasure and easing discomfort in labor? Orgasmic Birth and Dame present the Pleasure Vibe Fin, a waterproof vibrator designed to empower your journey through pregnancy, birth, and beyond. Boost your oxytocin, ease discomfort naturally, and transform your birth into an empowered and even orgasmic experience. Plus, support postpartum healing and reconnect with your body. Are you ready to embrace the power of pleasure? Click below, learn more, and start your transformation today. How did it bring healing for her? What were her words after? Because this is so beautiful. I feel the power of her power and her story and her
Yes.
trust and the beautiful care she received from you and her mother.
What I can tell you is she was just elated. Like she was in pleasure. When that baby was born, she was just loving and, smooching. And it was just, I get goosebumps, because to witness the complete blossoming and opening of the heart and the body and the soul and her mind, everything aligned. So all I can say is she became aligned. And to give birth, you have got to have alignment. Otherwise, happens, what we often see, women who go through birth, even if it's vaginal, and they come out traumatized, they have postpartum depression, and of course, this woman was just elated. She became this fantastic mother. And I can't even put it into words. I mean, I'd love to talk to her now, so many years later, because I am sure she'd be able to tell us how her life went after that. But it's like the world just opened up, the world inside of her, and it connected to the world outside and the world with her child. That baby no longer signified pain and suffering, or like some sort of punishment, or some sort of because some women that are not able to turn the key during labor and have a blissful birth, or orgasmic birth, sometimes they have a little difficulty with the baby. The baby comes to represent the suffering or the pain they went through. And it's something that I've seen, even with women who've had epidurals or cesareans. Sometimes there is something with the baby because it represents, a suffering they went through. And when we're able to clean that and allow for the pleasure and the love to be full, to really truly blossom, it's a guarantee that her relationship with herself, her sexuality, and her child will just be, probably starting at the best point possible, for that beginning of our lives as mothers. We've got to give ourselves and women the best chance to begin in the optimal highest level possible. It's already challenging to be a mother.
Yes.
You don't sleep well, it's, hard, da da da. I would do it again and again. I loved giving birth and being a mother, but I know that, it can be exhausting. It can be a challenge for a lot of women. So I find it our responsibility, Debra, as midwives and doulas, to cleanse ourselves from our own taboos, our own, prudishness or prejudice of sexuality, in as much as possible. Take tantric classes, explore the different levels and layers of what sexuality means, so that it doesn't just, it's not connected to pornography. That's a key point. Not pornography. It is pure energy. It's got purity. It's got the life energy of this universe flowing through us.
Yes. So beautifully said. Oh my goodness. So now I have to ask you, we have something new. It's been a lot of research and partnered with a company I really love called Dame. We have the first pleasure tool
Wow.
for childbirth, the pleasure vibe, Finn.
Wow, it's beautiful. It's so discreet.
And so soft. I love it. It's like medical grade silicone.
Does that mean I don't have to lend my own?
That's right. You don't. People can now have their
Wow.
own Finn pleasure vibe. But what do you
Wow.
think? What would you say
beautiful.
to women about this as a tool?
My goodness, let me just put it on.
Yeah.
Okay,
And-
it's beautifully designed.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, it's perfect.
It's like silk.
It's like silk and it's super discreet. It doesn't look like a penis, right?
No.
Because that's the point. You don't have to have penetration to stimulate, and open up the channels. So this is beautiful. My goodness, I think I want one for myself. For my travels.
Yes, for your travels.
Wow.
They're good all through the life cycle,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
But so wonderful to bring, and relaxation
Beautiful.
anywhere. I mean, we can use them on shoulders, on lower back, right? All around.
I can imagine for mastitis
Oh,
to allow the milk ducts to flow. Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. And can she put it in underwater, used in the shower?
completely waterproof. So
Wow.
showers, tubs for water birth.
Wow.
That was important to me because I think water is such a great tool for pleasure, and then to add even more relaxation.
Does it have like 1, 2, 3 intensities, or just like it's one?
It's 5 different
5?
speeds, so everyone can choose
Wow.
where.
I love it, Debra. My goodness, you know what? I think it'll be very worth it to put it in the birth kit. When we have a list of the little things for women to have ready for their births, I think this would be a fantastic tool. I think it's beautiful the way you designed it, because sometimes when it is shaped like a little penis, people get self-conscious. Yes, and this naturalizes it a lot, because most times women, when masturbating, it's just kind of very subtle. It's just very subtle touch, not necessarily the penetration. And of course, if they want penetration, they've got their fingers, right? Or a partner, or any other thing they want to introduce. But I think most of the women in labor will prefer just the subtle touch on the clitoris. I love it. I love it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm going to place an order because, and I'm going to be letting you know, because you know what? I've been using this resource specifically to births that seem a little blocked. But in my case, when I was birthing my child,
Right.
I wasn't blocked. I just wanted to see how it combined, and it was a beautiful combination. So if we can actually recommend it to women just as a resource, we say, the birth ball, a little massage, the shower, the vibrator.
Yes.
What is it called?
The pleasure vibe.
The pleasure vibe. Wow. Okay. You've got an order already.
All right. Well, thank you.
Wow.
And thank you to everyone for joining us today. Thank you for your
Yes.
beautiful stories, your wisdom, your love,
Aw.
and sharing your personal journey with pleasure.
It's my pleasure.
And we'd love to hear from you. Please share your thoughts. Have you used a pleasure tool or any pleasurable aspects in your birth? Write us. We'd love to hear from you. And we hope to see you next time on the Orgasmic Birth Podcast.